Hello and welcome to this all levels Vinyasa or Ashtanga-Inspired class. So what you will need today is 2 bricks. If you don't have yoga blocks, you could use a big book. You may want a blanket or 2, and then a flat wall as well as your yoga mat, and as always, an open mind. So we are going to start with a little yoga lesson, and we will start in Gabukasana. Now, if this posture is in your future practice, I'll give you a couple of modifications. It's nice to sit up on something. So this is where your blanket can come in handy. I just folded mine like so. Or you could sit up on a brick, or you could double or even triple that blanket. And what we're going to do is take our right leg on top. So you're creating essentially a knee pile here. Now, if this feels like too much, or you come into this posture and you feel like your spine is curling, then we're missing the point. So feel free to take a comfortable cross-legged position, or you could come into simple hip opener by reclining onto your back and listening to the yoga lesson in this figure 4 posture. Okay, so as always, we want to meet ourselves where we are at, knowing that that shifts from day to day, from practice to practice, from breath to breath. So we'll take our right hand to our top knee, our right knee, our bottom hand to our left, push, and then give it a little pull. Switch hands so you can feel the inner thigh spiraling down. I want you to get nice and active through the feet. So you're spreading between big toe mound and pinky toe mound, creating some air between the toes. And then feel your sitting bones right at the edge of your prop. So your pubic plates are off of the prop and your sitting bones are right at the edge. Now go ahead and take your scapula onto your back. Allow your sternum to lift and your collarbones to spread. Now, as you feel that space into your chest, I want you to connect to Uddiyana Bandha, your low belly draws in and up. And I'm going to bring the sutra, Tatra Stitau Yatno Bhyasaha, today. So what does that mean? So it is defining what practice is. Here, Patanjali gives us the direct explanation of what we are doing when we are practicing yoga. And we can hold this type of practice very loosely in the sense that he really doesn't say, follow this lineage, follow that lineage, do this asana sequence, do this pranayama practice. He gives you basically the guide to what we want to be accomplishing with any form of practice that we're choosing. And it's the effort to be steady and the steadiness of that effort. So abhyasa, practice, or another way to think about it is to check the downward pull. And so we carve out this time in our lives to practice yoga. That's what we're doing when we're doing yoga asana. That's what we're doing when we're doing a meditation practice or a pranayama practice. We are carving out time to consciously practice steadiness. Now, what is steadiness? From a physical therapy standpoint, steadiness is our ability to hold center when an outside force comes onto us. Now, in all things yoga, we start with the gross, we start with the matter, we start with the physical body, and we allow the yoga to begin there. So can you, during this practice, during this asana practice, hold steady in the postures? Can you find your midline? Can you strengthen and lengthen Sushumna Nadi, which parallels the spine? Can you engage at your core to find ease and stability within the posture? And then we take that to a more subtle level or to our psychology. So can we find that steadiness internally? Can you find the stillness, the sweetness, the stability internally? So when things are unpredictable or something occurs that we may not be prepared for, or during the postures, as you hold that container steady, can you hold your mind steady? Can you hold your breath steady? Or at least can you witness the inner world? Okay, so that's the first part of this Yoga Sutra. Let's switch legs. So if you're in simple hip opener on your back, switch your legs. Otherwise, our left knee is on top. Give it a push, give it a pull. Feel the inner thighs spiral down. Activate the feet. So bring some intelligence into your feet, space between the big toe mound and the pinky toe mound. Activate the outer edge of the foot. Press it down like a knife's edge. Feel the sitting bones over time. Maybe someday they'll press equally into your prop. Draw your low belly in and up. See if you can breathe your ribs up and up your pelvis. So you're finding space in the kidney band between the pelvis and the lowest back rib. Scapula onto the back, widen across the collarbones. Lift at the sternum as if there were a puppet string. Take it up. Good. Let the back of the neck relax. Let the muscles of the face soften. Okay, so practice is the steadiness of effort. So what does that mean? The steadiness of effort. This is where the magic happens. This is when yoga starts to do us, not only on the mat, but off of the mat. When we come to our practice with consistency, with devotion, over a long period of time, the yoga starts to land. And yoga, there is a bit of magic within the practice of yoga, and anyone who's had an aha yoga moment can identify with that. But here's the thing, we can sit and talk about yoga psychology until the cows come home. But really, yoga is about experiencing these truths within ourselves, within our being, within the container of our body, within the psyche, between the temples. And so some of these concepts in yoga can start very heady, very lofty goals, a little confusing at times. But they are taking us on this path to experience, to feel the inner wisdom, and ultimately to touch into our inner brilliance. And that's how we define yoga. Yoga's chitta vritti nirodha. Yoga is the practice of stilling the fluctuations of the mind. Tada drashtahu swarupe pashtana. When you do that, you dwell, you reside, you shine your brilliance forth. You live in your true nature. Vritti sarupyam itarahatra. When you don't do that, when you're not in a state of yoga, we take on the fluctuations of the mind and we think we are them. And then not only do we confuse what our true self is, but we project it onto others and other situations. And that's what Patanjali says ultimately causes pain or suffering within the self. So, tatra stitau yatno vyasaha. What is practice? Practice is the steadiness of effort, so the consistency, the devotion over a long period of time, creating space in your life to check in, to hold the container of either asana, pranayama, meditation, whatever suits you, chanting. And then it's the effort to be steady, to be still, to be able to hold our center when an outside force comes upon us. And so I'm taping this right now, right before the new year of 2021. And so we are closing the chapter of 2020, which has been quite an interesting year to say the least. And there has been so much uncertainty, so much unknown. Most of the things that we have known to this point have really been tested, have really wavered. And what Patanjali is saying is when we come to this practice of yoga in any form, over a long period of time with devotion and consistency, then we'll be able to find steadiness in our container, but also steadiness in our psyche. So what a gift. All right. Let's go ahead and move into some shoulder openers. So before we do so, take one deep exhale into your hips. And then gently and kindly release. Woo. Beautiful. Okay, so at this point, you are going to want your clear wall space. And you will want a block, but in a second. So we're going to start by opening up our shoulders. So this again is an all levels class, but we're going to move into the sun salutation after these two opening exercises for the shoulders. So this is one of my very, very favorites. It's called downward facing dog at the wall. It's beautiful because it allows us to feel the proper alignment of downward facing dog without weight bearing. So you're going to bring your forearms parallel to the ground. Toes are touching the wall. Then I'm going to step all the way back without moving the hands. So now my torso is parallel to the ground. I'm going to place my feet right underneath my sitting bones. And we're going to start with our arms here. I want you to press with the pointer finger mount. If you don't know what that is, look up at the screen. This is a really important point in yoga. Pointer finger mount. And then we'll talk about in a moment your big toe mound right here. It can be confusing. It's not actually at the big toe, it's right below it. So those 2 points are points of interest for the yogi. So again, pointer finger mount is going to root firmly into the wall. Now I want you to bend your elbows away from one another. Keep the pointer finger mount rooted. Draw your elbows down towards the ground and then straighten through the inner seams of the arms. So from the pointer finger mount to the center of the shoulder, how long can you get? With that movement, you may have been able to feel an external rotation of the shoulders. If you're confused, look over at the screen. What you do is hands are on the wall. You're going to bend your elbows away from one another. Then you're going to scoop them down towards the ground and straighten through the arms. So I call this the bulldog. Bend, drop, straighten. Then from here, hopefully you're finding a nice long line of energy through the inner seam of the wall. Good. Now, spin the armpits down towards the ground like you're trying to hide them. That's your external rotation. Now let's see if we can deepen this sensation with the breath. So with an inhale, I want you to breathe all the way up into the collarbones. When you think you're full, take a little more in. Good, now maintain that lift that you feel in your chest and exhale down to the tip of the tailbone. And as you exhale, can you soften and surrender something? Maybe your ambition, maybe the tension in your neck. Good, one more inhale here. Take a big horizontal breath into your side bodies. Can you breathe up into your armpits? Good, and then exhale down to the tip of the tailbone. Okay, let's tune into our legs. So find the big toe mound. Lift all 10 toes. Press down with the big toe mound. Spread out the toes like you were trying to breathe through them and then place them back onto the ground. Now bend the knees slightly. Just like we did in the arms, I want you to externally rotate the knees. So take the outer edge of the knee, spin it to the back of the room. Good. Now lift your whole quadricep like you were raking it up. Awesome. Find strength and stability in your legs. Now, if you were to look at the center of your kneecap, it should line up with your second and your third toe. Now, relax the head into gravity. Draw the low belly in and up. We've got 3 more breaths here. With an inhale, can you breathe from your pubis to your sternum, like you were painting the front line of your spine long? And then as you exhale, I want you to melt the backside of your heart right between the scapulas, drops. Good, inhale, get really long from hips to armpits. And then exhale, find some ease within your effort. Good, last breath here. And then gently release yourself from that position. Good work. Take a couple shoulder rolls to get the gunk out. Hopefully you felt something. I remember the first time I did that, I was like, oh, that looks like nothing as I watched it. And then I got it. I was like, hello. So hopefully you felt something in your shoulders, in your chest, in your low belly. All right, so from here, this next one, it's nice to be on a smooth surface. So if you're on a wood floor, you can really kind of work your way back. You may want to block. If I'm going to use the block, it's going to look like this, between the L of my hand, so the pointer finger mound can push. Now, what tends to happen is as I come into this posture, my hands collapse. When my hands collapse, I lose the integrity in my chest. Okay, so I'm going to keep my middle finger and my elbow aligned, and then I'm going to lift the skin of the chest. I'll talk you through it. So from here, we're going to come onto our bellies, and then you're going to bring your elbow to the baseboard. You may want the block if your hands collapse, otherwise you can ditch the block. Now, my middle finger lines up with my elbow. The center of my elbow lines up with the center of my shoulder, so that my elbows are shoulder distance apart. Palms are flat on the wall. Pointer finger mound is your power point. Push there. Then start to slide your body back. Worm yourself back. Good. Now from here, push your elbows down into the ground and then isometrically traction them away from one another. Like the elbows were stuck in cement and you were trying to move them apart. With that, hopefully you're feeling a rinse in your shoulders. I want the outer edge of your shoulder, the skin of the outer edge of your shoulder to drop down towards the ground. Like you were energetically trying to hide your armpits. Good. Now your forehead is touching the ground. Maybe. Every body is different. If it is, I want you to work the skin of your forehead down to the bridge of your nose. That will help to drop the system into the parasympathetic, the place where we can rest and digest. Reconnect with the pointer finger mound. Externally rotate the shoulders by drawing the elbows away from one another. Now see if you can go back a little more with your torso without losing the elbows touching the wall. Let's look beyond the obvious. Draw your low belly in and up. Press your pubic bone down into the ground. Drive your tailbone to the heels. Good. Now with your breath, explore new territory. Inhale up into the collarbones. Can you find the top of your breath? When you think you're full, take 5% more in. Then exhale down to the tip of the tail, let the legs get strong. Good. Inhale, horizontally breathe into your armpit chest. And then as you exhale, can you hug the breath around the spine, connecting with Uddiyana Bandha, low belly draws in and out. Last breath here. Beautiful. And then very gently release out of the posture. Good work. And we'll come into Samasthiti, equal standing at the top of our mat. So we're going to start off with a modified sun salutation. And then we'll come into a more classical sun salutation. And as we up-level Feel free to honor your body, or please always honor your body, but feel free to modify it as suits you in this moment. So big toes touch, heels are about sitting bone distance apart. That means that the outer edge of the foot is truly parallel to the outer edge of the mat. Lift all 10 toes, press down with the big toe mound and the pinky toe mound. Imagine that there were a pencil sliding underneath the arch of your foot. So excite the arch of the foot. Drop the heel, and then slowly place those toes back onto the ground. Slight bend in your knees. Take the outer edge of the knees, roll it back. So if I were to look down, the center of my kneecap lines up with my second and my third toe, and then I'm gonna rake up my whole quadricep. Can you lift the kneecaps? Good. Now allow the tailbone to descend. Create space between pubis and navel as you draw the low belly in and up. Take the scapula onto the back. Feel the collarbones broaden. And then with an inhale, can you breathe from hips to armpits? So they say that this is the seat of joy, this armpit chest region. Can you breathe into that? As we shift the container of the body, we have the ability to shift the endocrine system, the way the hormones are being released. So finding Ujjayi Pranayama, if you haven't already, audibly breathing, contract the back of the throat. Surya Namaskara A, starting with an exhale, breathe down to the tip of the tail, let it get long. And then linking movement with breath, inhale, arms sweep out and up, palms touch, look at your thumbs. Draw your low belly in and up, exhale, fold, bending the knees as much as you'd like, let your head go. You're welcome to bring your hands to your shins as you come halfway out, stretching from pubis bone to sternum. And then exhale, we're going to come back to plank. Again, remembering we're starting with a modified version here. Use your knees if you'd like. You're going to come all the way onto your belly. Bhujangasana, uncurl the toes, press down through the tops of the feet. Take the scapula onto the back, lift the sternum. Drive the tailbone down to the heels. Complete an inhale. And then exhale, release. Again, you can use your knees or skip it, downward facing dog. So I've been practicing yoga for well over a decade, and I'm still learning new things about downward facing dog. If this posture at all disturbs your inner stability, then child's pose is welcome at any point for you. The forehead's on the ground. This is your pose. You're welcome to take it. Otherwise, just as we were doing at the wall, I want you to bring your awareness to your pointer finger mound rooted. Now do the bulldog elbows. Point the elbows away from one another. Then scoop them towards the back of your mat and together. Stretch through the inner seams of the arms. I'm going to do that once more. If that didn't make sense, you can look here. Bend the elbows away from one another. Scoop them towards the back of the mat and down. And then straighten through the pointer finger mound to the inner seam of the armpit. Take the outer edge of the armpit, externally rotate it like you were trying to hide your armpits. And then we'll do the same with the legs. Big toe mound roots, excite the toes. Bend the knees, externally rotate the knees. The outer edge of the kneecap slides to the back of the room. And then rake up your quadriceps. Lift your kneecaps so your legs are as strong as they can be. Now, can the effort be to find steadiness? Last exhale here. Follow the breath down to the tip of the tail. With an inhale, you're going to look to the top of the mat, step, jump, or walk your way there. Feet touch, come halfway up. Again, you're welcome to bring your hands to your shins. And then exhale, Uttanasana, bending the knees as much as you'd like. Find traction in the spine. Inhale, rise on up. Imagine that the ribs were lifting up and off the pelvis, palms touch. And then keep vertical length as you exhale, lower the arms, Samasthiti. Okay, stay there with those modifications or join me for Chaturanga. With an inhale, breathe your arms up. Exhale, take the dive, forward fold. Bend the knees as much as you'd like, let the head go. With an inhale, come halfway up, nice and long spine. And then exhale, step, jump, or walk it back. From here, we Chaturanga, bend the elbows. Now lift the skin of the chest. Keep the elbows bent. Slide your hips forward, and at the very end, straighten the elbows, lift your sternum. And then low belly draws in and up. Exhale, downward facing dog. So in the last round, we talked about our foundation, our hands and our feet, our legs and our arms. Now the intention of this posture is spinal extension. So can you experience some traction? Imagine that the pelvis, we're moving up, up, and away from the ribs. As you draw the low belly in and up, invite the front ribs into the back ribs. Can you paint the front line of your spine long? Smooth out the effort with your breath. Welcome the sweetness into the experience. With an inhale, step, jump, or walk to the top of the mat. Feet hip, come halfway up, nice and long spine. Exhale, forward fold, relax the head into gravity. With strong legs, inhale, rise on up. Think vertical length. Exhale, swing yourself upstream. Samasthiti, equal standing. Round 3, last one. Inhale, link the movement to breath, arms left. Exhale, spill your pelvis forward with a long spine, relax the head. Inhale, come halfway up, find space from pubis to sternum. And then exhale, step, jump, or walk it back, lowering Chaturanga or all the way onto your belly. Keep the elbows bent. Shift the hips forward, lift the sternum like we're on a puppet string, and at the very end, straighten your arms. Exhale, shift back, downward facing dog, Adho Mukha Svanasana. Steady your gaze. Let the mantra for the breath be inhale to fill, exhale to empty. And see if you can consciously get lost in the experience of the breath. Audibly breathing. Last exhale here, let it count. Inhale to the top of the mat, feet hip, come halfway up, nice and long spine. Exhale, fold as you relax your head into gravity. With an inhale, rise on up, lift the cylinder of the ribs up and off the pelvis, and then swim it home. Samasthiti, equal standing. Close down your eyes and take a free breath here. Tatra shtitau yatno abhyasaha. Practice is our ability to hold stability. And we find that inner stillness, that inner stability, when we show up to practice with devotion, consistency, and over a long period of time. Finish your exhale as you open your eyes. Modified Surya Namaskara B. Inhale, anchor the heels, drop the tailbone, lift the chest, Utkatasana. Exhale, bring your ribs to your quads and then straighten out the legs, Uttanasana. With an inhale, come halfway up. Lift the skin of the chest as you feel the tailbone get long. Exhale, step, jump, or walk it back, Chaturanga Dandasana. Inhale into a back bend, shift the hips forward, press down with all 10 knuckles. And then exhale, downward facing dog. We're going to step our right foot forward, come down onto your left knee. Inhale, rise on up, Anjaneyasana. Good. Now in this pose, I want you to imagine that the outer edge of your right hip, we're externally rotating. Like you had a big gold block here, they were spinning down. As this externally rotates, the big toe mount roots feel that opposition. For more stability, curl your toes. For more length, uncurl the toes. Now socketize the right hip. Draw the right hip in as the left hip moves forward. Descend the tail. Lift the ribs up and off the pelvis. Take a big inhale up into the collarbones. And then exhale, hands on the ground. Your choice. Take the vinyasa or skip it. We meet downward facing dog. Second side as you're ready. Left foot steps. Right knee on the ground. Inhale, rise on up. Now, opposition creates strength, length, and stability within the posture. Think of the game of tug of war. If two people were pulling on a rope on opposite sides and pulling with equal force, that rope would become as stable as possible. So press down with the big toe mount. Think of the rinsing. Externally rotate the outer edge of the left knee. Drop the tail, but draw the low belly in and up. Now breathe your ribs up and off your pelvis. Focus your eyes to focus your mind. Good, sink in. Last inhale here. And release. Hands on the ground, yogi's choice. You move through the vinyasa or you skip it. If you're going through the vinyasa, look forward, lift the skin of your chest, bend your elbows, and then pull your hips through, sternum attached to an imaginary puppet string. See if you can feel this in the top half of the spine. And then exhale, downward facing dog. Yoga is about listening and remembering. Essentially, the practice cleans the window in which we see ourselves and ultimately the world through. So allow yourself the opportunity to slow down internally and begin to listen, to observe, and in that comes clarity. Last exhale here, let it count. Inhale to the top of the mat, feet hip, come halfway up, nice and long spine. Exhale, fold, think traction. Inhale, full circle. Sink the hips low, weight the heels, drop the tailbone, and then stretch through the front line of the spine, Utkatasana. Come on home, Samastiti, equal standing. Surya Namaskara B. Feel free to do as we just did, or join me in this Ashtanga classical form. Inhale, Utkatasana. Weight the heels, drop the tail, lift the heart. Exhale, Uttanasana, relax the head into gravity. Inhale, come halfway up, nice and long spine, lift the skin of the chest. Exhale, Vinyasa, or skip it, Chaturanga Dandasana. Heart goes forward, lift the skin of the chest, head on straight. Exhale, downward facing dog. Turn your left heel into the midline. Step your right foot forward. Now socketize. Bring the right hip in towards the socket as the left hip draws forward. Dive into that front knee. Lift the arms. As the arms come up, can you lift the ribs up and off the pelvis? Take an inhale here. Breathe all the way up into the fingertips. And then exhale, hands on the ground. Lift the skin of the chest, look forward, Chaturanga. Inhale, Urdhva Mukha Svanasana. Exhale, Adho Mukha Svanasana. Second side. Right heel turns in, left foot lightly steps. Inhale, rise on up. Socketize. Left hip draws in, right hip back, and then sink with curiosity into that left knee. Can you lift the lowest back rib up and off the pelvis? Can you hold integrity in your center, low belly in and up? One more inhale here. And then exhale, hands on the ground. Lift the skin of the chest, look forward. Chaturanga. Inhale into the back bend. All 10 knuckles stay rooted. Exhale, downward facing dog. Let the head go. Inhale to fill. Exhale to empty. Let the yoga land. Let it do you. Good. Last exhale here. Follow it down to the tip of the tailbone. Inhale to the top of the mat. Feet hit, come halfway up, stretch through the front line of the spine. Exhale, think traction, let the head go like it were a weight. Full circle, Utkatasana, inhale, and then swim it home, Samasthiti. Last one. Let the intention here be linking movement to breath, and allow that marriage of movement to breath, capture the attention of the mind and drop it into the present moment. That's truly the only place that yoga can be practiced. Exhale completely. Find the end of the breath with an inhale, Utkatasana. Exhale, Uttanasana. Get curious about the end of the breath. Inhale, Ardha Uttanasana. Lift the skin of the chest. Exhale, Chaturanga Dandasana. Again, find the end of the breath and pause to feel. Inhale, find the top of the breath and the collarbones upward facing. Exhale, downward facing. Left heel in, right foot steps. With your inhale, rise on up. Virabhadrasana A. Find the crest of the breath. And then exhale, hands to the ground. Imagining that the breath were the conductor of the movements. Downward facing dog, second side, left foot steps. Inhale, rise on up. Find the top of the breath. Exhale, hands touch, Chaturanga. Inhale, Urdhva Mukha Svanasana. Exhale, Adho Mukha Svanasana. Steady the gaze. Inhale to fill. Exhale to empty. Allow the sensations of the posture, the movement of the breath, all to create a space, create a container for the mind to drop in. Up and away with the pelvis. Think traction in the spine. Last exhale. Inhale to the top of the mat. Feet hit. Come halfway up. Long spine. Exhale. Fold. Relax the head into gravity. Full circle. Utkatasana. Inhale. And then come on home. Samasthiti. Go standing. Beautiful work, everyone. We're going to take our hands to our hips. And then jump your feet hip distance apart. Zip the elbows and feel how that opens your chest. Drop the tailbone, but lift the heart like the sternum were on a puppet string. Now spill your pelvis forward. Like your pelvis were vomiting your spine long. So keep the front line of the spine super long. Option A, grab opposite elbows. Option B, first two fingers around the big toes. Option C, hands under feet. With an inhale, come halfway up, prepare length. And then exhale, pull it together. Now, where the eyes go, the mind follows. Yoga is very clearly defined as yogas, chitta, vritti, nirodha. Yoga is the ability to still the fluctuations of the mind so that we can self-regulate. So allow the posture to become the container to witness the inner experience. Let the eyes anchor the mind. Let the breath sing you into the present moment. Last exhale here, enjoy it. And then with an inhale, come halfway up, nice and long spine. Exhale, hands to the hips, elbows up. Inhale, rise on up. Samasthiti, equal standing. Okay, so these next couple postures, you may want some blocks. If you're going to use blocks, take one to one end of the mat and one to the other end of the mat. And then Just due to the nature of teaching via a screen, it's always helpful if you can see me. So I'm going to start in the middle of my mat, bring my fingertips to touch, and then jump my feet apart. Okay, so position yourself like so. Now, about the wrists and the ankles line up. I'm going to turn my right toes to the back of my mat and my left toes to about a 45-degree angle. We're coming into Untitled. Now, before I do, I'm going to bend both knees. Press down with the big toe mound. Root that into the ground. Now, find that external rotation. So the outer edge of the knees, externally rotate, spinning them behind me. And then I'm going to rake up my quadriceps. Pull up those muscles. Now lift the ribs up and off the pelvis, draw the low belly in and up. Arms extended, and start to shift. Right side body is as long as the left. Yogi's choice. The block's there, or book, use it. You can take your hand to the ground, or you may want to bring your first two fingers around your big toe. Where can you find the most stability? That's where you want to go. Now check in with the legs again. Big toe mound root. Slight bend in the knees. Externally rotate the knees, lift the quads, and then this top hip is going to shift forward. Shift it forward, and then draw the outer edge of the right hip back. With that, can the side bodies get equal in length? Now find the stillness. Find the container for stillness and stability. Good. From here, we're going to take our left hand to our left hip, look down, bend into your front knee. You are welcome to bring the block with you. Weight your front foot, your right foot, and then kick the left leg up. Good. Now, this posture is held in the ball of the big toe of the right foot and the core. So root the big toe mound into the mat. Slight bend in your standing leg. Again, externally rotate that knee and rake up the whole quadricep. Now, can your extended leg be as strong as your standing leg? Option A, keep your hand on your hip, or option B, lift that arm. Good. Now, lean back with curiosity. Like there were a wall behind you, and you could rest on that wall. Take a big breath here. Now, light like a feather, set the left foot down. We're going to come right into extended side angle. So what tends to happen is we lose this back leg. I want you to, again, bend this left knee. Take the outer edge of the left knee, externally rotate it, and then rake up the quad. Good. Sink into the right leg. So the knee and the ankle are stacked, arms out to a T. Take an inhale, lift your ribs up and off the pelvis, and then extend to come into extended side angle. Option A, forearm to thigh. Option B, hand to block. Option C, hand to ground. Where can you breathe best? That's where you want to go. So yoga gives us this beautiful opportunity to resist the urge to do. And it's creating this container for us to experience. We tend to do, and do we do very well. Be here to feel. To notice when the mind wants to push you past your edge. And see if you can step off of it. Take one more big inhale here. Finish and exhale at your heels. And then inhale, rise on up. Beautiful. We're pivot around. We've got our other side to do. Left toes point to the front of your mat. Right toes are at a 45-degree angle. Big toe mounds root, bend the knees. Externally rotate the knees out and rake up the quads. Good. Arms are out to a T. Take an inhale as you breathe your ribs up and out the pelvis. And then as you come into Utthita Trikonasana, how long can this left side body be? Hand on the block, floor, first two fingers around your big toe. Whatever works for you. Now let's focus on this top hip. Your right hip shifts forward. As I let that shift forward, my lower back can release, and the outer edge of my left hip externally rotates. So it's as if the outer edge of this hip were drawing to the back of the mat, and then my side bodies can grow equal in length. Now breathe. Breath first, pose second. What is practice? Our ability to find stability, to find steadiness, stillness, and unwavering peace and joy. What a gift. Okay, from here, one more full breath. See what you can do with it. And then right hand to the right hip, look down, stabilize that left foot, bend into the left knee, and then take it up. The transition is as important as the pose itself. Now, what cultivates stability? Feel into your foundation, your left foot. Feel into your left leg. And then, can you lean back with curiosity, stacking the bones with gravity, becoming light and easy in the pose. Deepen the experience of the breath. One more big breath here. Let it count. Inhale to fill. Exhale to empty. And then light like a feather, just right foot touches down. We come into extended side angle, setting up the legs. So if I were there, I would take my hand underneath your left hamstring. I want you to sit into that. So can you bring the left quad parallel to the ground as the knee stays nice and stacked over the ankle? Then we tend to collapse with this back leg. So I'm going to bend the knee, press with the big toe bone, externally rotate my right knee. Lift the quad, lift the arms, lift the ribs up and off the pelvis. Strong, long Sushumna Nadi. And then without disturbing the intelligence of the legs, come on into the pose. So again, forearm to thigh, block, hand to ground. Can you experience in a long line of energy? Trace the line with your breath from your right heel all the way up and through your right middle finger. Focus your eyes. Create space for the yoga to do you. Last breath here, let it count. And then inhale, rise up. We're going to open up to the long line of our mat. Big toes are slightly in, heels are out, so that the outer edges of my feet are truly parallel to the outer edge of the mat. Bring my hands to my hips. Zip your elbows towards one another. Before we come into the pose, bend the knees. Press down with the big toe mount. Lift all 10 toes. Get some air moving through them. Really aliven the feet. Keep the big toe mount rooted. Place the toes down. Externally rotate the knees. Rake up the quadriceps. Good. Now spill your pelvis forward. And as you do, can you grow long through the front line of the spine? Steady the gaze. Hands to the ground. Prasarita Padottanasana A form. With an inhale, come halfway up. Breathe your ribs away from your pelvis. Restabilize the legs. And then exhale, come on. Focus your eyes. Focus your breath. Atrashita Yatno Vyasaha. Practice is the effort to be steady and the steadiness of that effort. Come to the mat with curiosity and open heart, with devotion and consistency. And it unlocks stable, firm ground to live from. Last breath here, enjoy it from top to bottom. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, hands to the hips, elbows up. Inhale, rise up. Samasthiti, equal standing at the top of your mat. Good work. Let's take a vinyasa. We're going to close this party down. Inhale, arms left. Exhale, fold. Inhale, come halfway up. Nice and long spine. Exhale, step, jump, or walk it back. Chaturanga Dandasana. Inhale, Urdhva Mukha Svanasana. Exhale, Adho Mukha Svanasana. From downward facing dog, look through your hands. Step, jump, or walk. Find your seat. Janu Shirshasana. So our right heel is going to come into our left inner thigh. This is a fabulous place to use something to sit up on. So we want our pelvis to spill in our forward fold without distorting the length of the spine. So as the pelvis spills forward, the spine stays long. Okay? So our left leg is long. Our right heel comes into the inner thigh. This is a twist. So you're going to open, roll to your left foot. So see how the ribs roll around the spine, draw the low belly in and up, and then spill the pelvis forward without distorting the spine. Good, so as you come forward, I want you to imagine that you were taking a back bend. So you can think of the thoracic spine, the top half of the spine, right between the scapula, is dropping towards your chest, and the skin of your chest is lifting. Another way to think of this is as if you're about to loop your upper lip around your big toe. Good, now anchor your right sitting bone. Elongate the cervical spine, the neck, and be here to feel. Good, last exhale here, let it count. Inhale, halfway lift, straighten the arms, straighten the spine. Exhale, release. Coming into Marichyasana C. So we're going to bend our right knee, right hand kickstands behind you. Option A, you hug. Option B, you clip. Now again, lift the ribs, the cylinder of the ribs up and off the pelvis. Draw the low belly in and up, and then with an exhale, start to spin it clean. Now can you breathe into new territory? With an inhale, I want you to think vertical thoughts. And then with an exhale, seal Uddiyana Bandha, low belly in and up. Last breath here. Look forward and exhale, release. Second side, left heel comes into the right inner thigh. Again, we're creating this spin of the ribs as we fold. So you can imagine that this left kidney region, we're about to kiss the quad, or someday the belly button, we're going to touch the knee. Focus your eyes, excite your foot. Bring intelligence into the foot as you plaster the quad down to the ground. See if you can allow the breath to do you. Last exhale, see what you can do with it. Inhale, straighten the arms, lift the skin of the chest. Exhale, release. Marichyasana C, bend the left knee, left hand kickstands behind you again. Hug, clip, your choice. Now with an inhale, big vertical thoughts. Lift the ribs up and off the pelvis. Draw the low belly in and up, and then exhale, start to spin it clean. Now as your sternum reaches behind you, I want the outer edge of your left hip to reach forward. And with that, You feel opposition and a rinsing sensation. And then allow the breath to be the eyes to the posture, the eyes to consciousness. Can you breathe and see into new areas? As you breathe into your back body, that represents your subconscious. As you breathe into your armpit chest, that represents joy. Last exhale here. Inhale, look forward. Exhale, release. Beautiful work. So in the Ashtanga lineage, we would take a vinyasa here. If that feels right to you, you're welcome to. You're going to cross your ankles, draw your low belly in and up. Inhale, lift your chest, place your hands on the ground or on two blocks. Take it up and send it back. Chaturanga. Upward and downward facing. Using the vinyasa to essentially clear the slate between postures. And then sit down. Okay, so 3 options. Viparita Karate. So if you have a blanket or 2 blankets, you can either take your legs up on the blanket. If you want a little more, you could take the block and then a blanket. And if shoulder stand is in your practice, that might be where you want to go. So if you're using the props, your sacrum is on the blanket or the block or both. And then this is a very important movement here. I take my scapula onto my back with an external rotation. So as I flip my palm up, I spin the outer edge of the armpit or outer edge of the arm down. My scapula catches on my sticky mat. With that, my scapula lift my chest. And then I've got this nice armpit chest region to work with here. Keeping that lifted, I'll join the necks of my big toes. Okay, so this is option A. If this feels right, go here. Option B, I'm going to come into shoulder stand. So again, externally rotate the arm. Sometimes it's nice to grab the sticky mat or interlace the fingers. And then I'm going to place my hands on my lower back and lift my legs. Now shoulder stand is considered the queen of all the postures. And it's the only pose we get to, it's our only inversion that we get to study our legs. So wherever you are, join the necks of your big toes. Reach up through the ball of the foot, the big toe mound, and the inner edge of the heel. Good. Now stretch through the inner seams of the legs. Reach the tailbone long. And then look at your sternum. As you inhale, can you invite the breath up into the cavity of the chest? Can you breathe horizontally into that armpit chest region? And then can you maintain a little bit of the lift in the cavity of the chest as you exhale down to the tip of the tail? And then remember, practice is finding steadiness. So can you find the quiet, the stability internally as you hold the container of the posture, allowing the container to be the space where you get to study yourself, self-inquiry. One more breath here. And then slowly, it's nice to have your toes, if your shoulders did touch the ground behind you, coming into Halasana. And then unravel your pose. You may need to move your props. And we'll come into the fish. So hands are underneath you. Lift the elbows. Lift the skin of the chest, lift the sternum up towards the ceiling, let the head go. Gaze down the line of the nose. Open your throat. Last breath here. And exhale, release. From here, we're going to bring our knees into our chest, give them a good squeeze. And we'll take a vinyasa. So roll forward, place your hands on the ground. Chaturanga. Lift the skin of the chest, look forward. Upward facing dog. All 10 knuckles root. Exhale, downward facing dog. From downward dog, go ahead and find a seat. You're very welcome to sit up on something. Whatever comfortable seat works for you. Grab opposite elbows behind you. Take an inhale. And then exhale. You can bring a prop up in front of you. Fold so your forehead touches something. Maybe it's a prop. Maybe it's the ground. In this posture, it's considered the seal, as it seals in all the benefits that we get to receive from this practice. Keep the audible sound of your breath alive. See if you can drop in. Inhale, rise on up. Stretch out through your arms. Eyes are still open at Nasagra Drishti, somewhere around the tip of the nose. Stretch out your arms. Jnana Mudra, palms face up. Still working with Ujjayi Pranayama. Inhale to fill. Exhale to empty. Letting the breath be the eyes to consciousness. And as you breathe from top to bottom, see if you can start to clean the glass in which we see ourselves in the world. And allow this posture to be the container for self-understanding. Inhale, lift your chin. So lots of options for this next posture. Upta plupta hi. Now, the intention of this posture is prana, the life force energy. As we practice asana, we cultivate, we move, we purify that life force energy. It can get blocked, it can get stuck, and we move it through the channels, which are called nadis. And so this last posture is absolutely a power pose. It's very strong, but meet yourself where you're at. And the more we can unravel really what the intention is, the more we can let the pose meet us in the moment. So this is the pump. And essentially what we're doing is we're sealing the bandhas, the seals, and allowing the prana to intensify. So then as we come into Shavasana, it can kind of blanket over us and really wash out and wash through. And so the full posture would look something like this. Palms on the ground, we lift the knees, lift the skin of the chest, look up, and breathe here. Now, that doesn't happen overnight. Another option would be put your hands up on something to take it up. That can be nice. And then another option would be cross at your ankles, zip your knees in towards your chest. And as you do that, zip your knees in. Can the priority be to straighten the spine? So lift the skin of the chest, lift the sternum, draw the low belly in and up. Okay? All are good. It's really not what the pose looks like, but the inner experience that we're curious about. Here we go. Take it up. Steady the gaze, lift the skin of the chest. 5, smooth breathing. 4, 3, 2, 1. Set it down, lie back, Shavasana. Beautiful work. So as you close your eyes, set yourself up here, scapula on the back, palms face up, legs long. At this point in the practice, no effort is needed. So allow the bones to get heavy and drop. Feel the energy or the prana as it tingles in your muscles. Allow your muscles to get heavy and drop. And then feel the sensations, the residue of the practice in your skin or on your skin. Maybe notice any unnecessary tension. Allow the skin to get heavy and drop. You are welcome to stay in Shavasana as long as you like. If you feel ready to come out, go ahead and close your eyes. Keep your eyes closed. Stretch your right arm up and then slowly roll to your right and take a pause here. Notice and observe the impact of the practice on your nervous system, on your physical body, and on your inner world, on your psyche. And here's the yoga, our ability to witness without judging. Be the bystander and observe, unattached to whatever the outcome was. Noting without passing judgment. And then with an inhale, find your seat. Go ahead, keep your eyes closed, bring your palms to meet. Your thumbs touch your sternum as a reminder to lift. Tatra Shtitau Yatno Vyasaha. Tatra Shtitau Yatno Vyasaha. Tatra Shtitau Yatno Vyasaha. Practice is the steadiness of effort and the effort to be steady. Show up with devotion, consistency over a long period of time, and you will find firm ground. Thank you so much for practicing. I hope this practice has inspired consistency. Namaste. So remember, it's not about devotion, or it's about devotion. It's not about duration. but consistency. And as you turn the page into the new year, put your practice first. And maybe that's you simply commit to doing one posture a day. Or you simply commit to one sun salutation a day. Whatever it is, commit to something within this umbrella of yoga. And then ultimately the yoga does you. So thank you so much for practicing. Thanks for sticking with the class. If you have questions, please reach out. I'm always available for you. I'm always here for you. Sarah Klein, Whole Health Lab. And I hope you have a wonderful new year. If this is when you're watching this, Happy New Year to you. And keep practicing, because I truly do believe that the more people doing consistent yoga, the more people sharing the love of this practice, ultimately, the better world this will be. So namaste and thank you.